So I decided to try to ameliorate the possibility that would negatively impact my ability to attend a college of my choice. So what I did was I took my college exams early during my junior year and was accepted by USC, but was denied admission by UC Berkeley and Stanford. To my surprise, not only was I granted admission to USC, I was granted admission as a college honors admission student. So, but I also noticed that when I was at college, no sorority would rush me. There were no Asian sororities. And in addition to that, in my classes, again, I noticed some great disparities between me and the kids college kids that I would hang out with. But I had decided to major in political science. I did not do well in political science. So my solution to that problem was to change to a business degree so I would have something to fall back on in the event that I would not be able to attend law school. Again, because of the continued grade disparities and to lessen the monetary burden on my parents, you know, that tuition that I paid in those days seems so cheap nowadays. Comparatively, we paid probably only about $2,000 a year as compared to now $80,000 a year at USC. But to lessen the impact upon my parents, I decided to take the law school admissions test and applied to USC Law School during my second year in college. Even though I was admitted to law school under the 2-4 program, I convinced the admissions officer to hold my spot to allow me to graduate from college so I would have something to fall back on in the event that I did not succeed in law school. I knew I could succeed in law school. I did not know whether or not the grades that I would be given would permit me to graduate from law school. So it was very interesting because there was one male Chinese student who had also applied to go to law school, but he was denied admission. But remember, I had my admission assured 2 years earlier. So, of course, he then spread the rumor and the questions about, well, who did Betty sleep with to be able to be admitted to law school? Now, that is a form of sexism, and it could also be interpreted as racism. But in later years, I am proud to say that he couldn't pass the bar, and I helped him pass the bar his third time. So we still continued to be friends. But Manny, you know what it's like to be in law school, but I was totally, totally unprepared for the racism and the sexism that faced me in law school. Remember, this was in the late 1950s. I was only one of 4 women admitted and the only Asian admitted to that class of over 225 law school students. As a result, I was called on every day in law school. Every day in law school in at least half of my classes. But you know what? It was great that I had a seat that I considered that helped me compose myself when I had to respond to the harsh criticisms of the professors. Because my maiden last name was Tom, we sat in alphabetical order, and I was 2 rows below that of the last row. So when I got up to do my recitations, the students in the front kept their eyes on the professor, and they didn't turn around to make me nervous. And then the guys in the back couldn't see my face and make me nervous either. And my perfect position that helped me was that when the guys particularly got up to respond to the questions of the professors, I could see the sweat that was breaking out in their shirts, and their shirts were completely drenched and wet. And I was happy I didn't sweat that much. So I had the perfect position in law school. And I think that helped me in being able to respond to the professors, because I was constantly being challenged by them. Despite that daily ritual, I was not prepared for the one day that was very torturous for me in the second semester, the first week of torts class. The torts professor had a reputation all up and down California, Professor Springmeyer, as being one of the toughest professors in law school, and constantly demeaning and humiliating students. So I had put up with that for many, many days during my first semester. But during this one day in the second semester, he not only was very harshly critical of my performance, but he also was very harshly critical, demeaning, and berating me on my personal attributes. And that is the second semester is actually the semester in law school when the professors try to make true the admonition that the law students get at law school orientation. They say, look to the right of you, look to the left of you, and 2 of you aren't going to be there next year. And I was convinced that that was what that professor was trying to do, that I would be one of the first persons that would be ejected from law school. So here, what was my solution? I thought about it for a couple of days, and I was still being questioned in law school. So what I did was I looked up his office hours, and for the next week, I spent 3 days waiting for him to be present at his office during office hours. He finally came the 3rd day. And I said, Professor Springmeyer, I may not be your brightest student, but I know I am not your dumbest student. And I want to let you know that USC is not the only law school in California that I can attend. And in addition to that, you say that I don't have the ability to pass the California State Bar. And I said, I get to have 3 tries at it. And I am sure that if I don't make it the first try, I will certainly make it the 3rd try. Oh, Miss Tom, you're gonna be okay, you're gonna be okay. So he continued his berating of me on the issues in law school, but never again with reference to my personal personality or my personal attributes. So I think that was also a case of sexism as well as racism. So, but you know what? Despite the fact that he treated me much better after that I shouldn't say confrontation, at least discussion. His comment stuck with me that maybe I didn't have it to pass, because maybe I have it to pass, but it is not reflected in my grades. It is not reflected on the paper to help me graduate and to help me pass the California State Bar. So what was my solution? My solution was not only to study harder, but to be able to take my classes in a fashion where I could graduate from law school and take my bar ahead of my classmates, so that if I was not able to succeed, I would at least be closer in line time-wise with the graduation successes of my classmate and the passing of the California State Bar with my classmates. Well, in your senior year, the dean's assistant would personally arrange the interviews for public employment and private employment agencies and law firms for each of the senior each of the third-year law students. And so everyone got their interviews and are talking excitedly about their interviews, except I didn't have any. So I went to the office and I said, Caroline, I don't have my schedule for my interviews. She looked at me, she said, Betty, be real, look at you. The door is closed before you even get there, and it will remain closed to you. You are not getting any interviews. So there I was with a father and mother earning income only from a block away from Skid Row, and my need to earn more money because the work that I was doing in law school, part-time work in law school and in undergraduate school, was not going to sustain me much longer. So I had to go find a job. So I went around to interview with the public law agencies, the district attorney's office, the AG's office, the city attorney's office, and Department of Corporations and different other agencies. I could not get interview appointments because they said, oh, we have no openings. We have no openings. And yet some of my classmates were able to be interviewed by them. So I was told by the AG's office would not even open the door for me. But I did get an appointment with the city attorney's office. And within 5 minutes, I was told that I would not be employed by the city attorney's office because they couldn't have me handling rape cases. And I said, why not?
Betty? That's like incredible. I mean, your story is incredibly inspirational. And the fact that you ultimately did rise up despite all these challenges is fantastic. I don't want to give you the hook here, but I do want to give a little bit of time for the other speakers. But yes, from what I'm seeing in the chat and on Facebook and WeChat, everybody is loving your story. It's fantastic, incredible.
But that is why it is so important in the aspects of public education that we remove these kinds of feelings and barriers so that they can succeed, students can succeed at a faster and better rate and achieve their best for the betterment of everyone in California based on merit.
Absolutely, Betty. Well said. Thank you so much for that. A silent round of applause for Betty. I've been on these and everybody claps and it sounds absolutely weird, but a silent round of applause for Betty. So thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Betty. I want to move on to our next speaker. We will have questions at the end. Manny's fantastic. I've been seeing him on a few of our strategy emails. He's been in the fight back in 1996. He played an important role in Proposition 209 back when that started, and he's still with us. That's a true testament of a good leader and a good guy to have on your team. As I stated earlier, he's an attorney, expertise in complex and significant litigation involving constitutional law, election law, incredibly helpful right now. Also business litigation matters. He is the general counsel to Individual Rights Foundation. Manny previously served as chairman of the Federalist Society National Practice Group on free speech and election law for 10 years. As someone that has worked in a lot of elections, I can tell you being an election attorney is no easy feat. It's amazing how many crazy rules there are, from literally like the specifics on how many yard signs you can have to the specifics of a ballot designation, which Manny's been helping us with. So he also is a co-founder of Reason Foundation and founding director of Institute of Justice. And without any further ado, Manny, I am going to unmute you and